Welcome back to episode 6, baby! For this episode, we managed to defeat the Brimstone elemental properly this time, upgraded accessories, health, and my storage system, built a massive arena for the Plantera Fight, farmed for ectoplasm in the new dungeon, made an attempt at the Pumpkin Moon event, beat the Screen Calamitas clone easily, and I want to tell you more, but this intro is becoming too long, so here's a video! Now let's start with something new. If you would please turn your attention to right here on the screen, you'll notice something different. Now, I added a mod called Quality of Terraria, but to be more specific, I installed it for these two reasons. One, it adds wands that will help me build arenas in future NPC houses. And two, it adds these two very helpful items called the Potion Bag and Banner Box. The Potion Bag is used to store potions, and when I have a certain amount of any of these potions, it becomes an infinite buff. Now, before you start writing in the comments that I'm cheating, I raised the number of the potions needed from 30 to 100. Now, I don't really deem that to be cheating because it takes me quite a bit of time to get these coins. I'm also putting on the stipulation that I can only use these items for its intended purpose. What that means is the boss fighting potion bag can only be equipped when I am going to fight a boss or an event. The mining potion bag can only be used for mining. Otherwise, it stays in the storage system. Now, the banner box is pretty self-explanatory. It's more just I'm getting annoyed having a lot of banners in my inventory and clogging it up. What do you think about these decisions? Let me know down in the comments. But until then, I took a quick trip to the underground ice caverns in search of some cryonic ore. My goal is to make the Daedalus armor set with a set bonus of 20% increased summon damage and +2 max minions. With my new materials, I also made a new staff called the Daedalus Golem staff, which spawns little golem dudes to fight for me. Even with their high damage, watching the way they fight, it really didn't make a lot of sense to keep it. To me, the ancient ice chunk is just way too good of a weapon. In the last episode, we managed to defeat all 3 mechanical bosses, so I made sure to increase my maximum health to 500 with the life fruit from the jungle. Right after, I made a quick pit stop to the sunken sea to try and find a passive mob called the Ghost Bell, which drops an item called Voltaic Jelly. Thankfully, I was able to get it pretty quickly. Soon after, I was able to give my accessories just a little bit of an upgrade. So I made the Ornate Shield, Voltaic Jelly Charged Battery, then grabbed the item called the First Shadow Flame and the Nuclear Fuel Rod. Damn, that shit hurts every time. With my new armor and accessories, I had a total of 86 armor points and a max minion slot of 6. But I am missing something. I need a new weapon. More specifically, I want the summon called the Dormant Brimseeker. This, however, is dropped from the Brimstone elemental. And if you remember from last episode, I half-assed that fight. And you know what? Yeah, I lost. This time, I'm not making that same mistake. I made my way to the Brimstone Crag and began the arena build. I really gotta stop bullshitting boss fights. It just makes more sense to just take the extra mile and build a decent arena. Well, you live and you learn. With that done, I made my way back to the base and made an upgrade to the wireless storage access device. Now, I can access my storage all the way from hell. Soon after that, I grabbed some buffs and went to go defeat the Brimstone Elemental, which actually was a pretty close fight. She was able to bring me down to 1 heart. Thankfully, I managed to defeat her. And, lucky for me, I was able to get the new summon weapon, the Dormant Brimseeker. With my new weapon in hand, I began my way down to the jungle to build my Plantera arena. Hey, if you're enjoying this, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'd love to get your feedback because I try my best to respond to all your guys' comments. Alright, let's get back to the video. With the arena built, I buffed up and began the fight with Plantera. Alright, let's do this. This fight wasn't as close compared to the Brimstone Elemental, but it still was tough. I got down to 2.5 hearts with more than 12 seconds left until I was able to heal again. 12 seconds might not seem like a whole lot, but with the stress of Plantera, it felt like damn near half a minute. In the end, I still managed to defeat the boss and continue our progression throughout Calamity. Now that Plantera is defeated, the world now contains perennial ore, and the dungeon also has ectoplasm. I need ectoplasm in order to make the harvest and frostmoose summons. The drops from enemies in these events will be needed in the future, so off to the dungeon I went. While down there, I managed to grab a decent amount of ectoplasm and decided to head back home, craft the pumpkin moon medallion, and summon them in. It's a pretty good fight. It's just about the right amount of difficulty, but I was in search of one item, the necromantic scroll, and I didn't get it, but that's fine. Just right after, I grabbed some buffs and attempted to defeat the Calamitas clone. My goal was just to get a quick taste of the boss, just to see how she attacks, and surprisingly, I actually managed to beat her on my first try. For real this time. Right after the fight, I upgraded to a new whip called the Lash of Language with a base damage of 133. And just for a little fun, I made the summon for the Great Sand Shark, made it over to the desert, and took it on. The fight wasn't that hard at all, but the way it moves to the ground definitely made it hard to predict its movements, even with the boss cursor mob. Now, remember earlier when I said I needed to stop bullshitting boss fights?
I really gotta stop bullshitting boss fights.
Yeah, well, I tend to have a hard time learning my own lessons, because this is exactly what I did when attempting to fight Leviathan, Golem, and Astrum Deus. Now, I will say in my defense that I was mainly trying to get a quick look at each of the boss's fight patterns to see how it would go. I bet you're starting to see a pattern here, huh? Anyway, with access to ectoplasm, I was able to craft up 3 different cores, which are the core of Sunlight, Ilium, and Havoc, then combining them all to make the core of Calamity. With this, I made one more upgrade to my accessories with an item known as Asgard's Valor. Now, with that, I'm going to come to a close. I do hope you enjoyed watching this episode, and if you did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Okay, good night.